And here we go on this Monday. It is July 18th, 2022, 6 o'clock straight up, and you are in the midst of Real Talk Memphis. Very happy to have you with us on this beautiful Monday. And I say beautiful Monday because this is probably going to be as good as it gets between now and next time we see each other on Monday next week. But we'll get more into that in just a minute. Feeling good today. The temperature was about 91 degrees, which is as cool as it's been around here for quite some time. We have a wonderful show for you tonight, and I am very happy to know that wherever you are checking out RTM because we can't do it without you. We're going to have a lot of information to share tonight from three particular experts in three particular areas of expertise, if that makes sense. Don't worry, it will later on. The first guest we're going to have is State Senator Raumesh Akbari. She is, of course, one of the very few Democrats in the House up there in Nashville, and she passed sponsored some legislation, and this is particularly for the ladies. It's called the Crown Act, and we will explain, or she will explain, about that in just a few minutes. A little bit later on, we're going to talk about your pets. You know, pets are an extension of the family, and they are part of the family. And I think a lot of people sort of don't really pay a lot of attention when the weather gets extreme hot as it is now. It's extremely hot, and it can be adversely effective in terms of your pets. This could be very dangerous for your pets, particularly your dogs. And we will tell you why. We have Dr. Charlie LaBelle. He is a veterinarian at the Family Veterinary Practice in Bartlett, Tennessee, and he's going to educate us on what we can and can't do with our pets in terms of walking, what we should and what we shouldn't do, and pay attention to that, especially if you are a pet owner. And we're also going to talk about something else that is heat relatable, and that, of course, is we all want to get cool when it gets really, really hot, right? And how do we do that? Jump in the pool. First thing we think about is water of some kind, but many people, each and every year, unfortunately, we always have several people die of drowning. So I felt it was good to talk a little bit about that. We're going to have an aquatics manager from the Bartlett Recreation Center a little bit later on to talk about water safety, how young is too young to get your kids indoctrinated in the water so they can be comfortable and things like that. So a really, really good show for you. Now, before we get too far into it, how do you get this fine piece of radio broadcasting? A number of ways. I got you. First of all, it is live on the FM dial, 91.7 WYXR. We can also be heard on the WYXR.org website, so you can go there and check us out. We are also on TuneIn, the TuneIn app, and we do a little thing called Facebook Live around here, and that is on live right now. And as, of course, we are a podcast, when they post the show tomorrow, you can get us wherever it is you get your podcast. Good. Okay, so now this is the part of the show, if you're just getting indoctrinated into what Real Talk Memphis is about, where we celebrate you. Everybody has a birthday, and as I always like to say, it is better to be seen than to be viewed. So if you're celebrating a birthday today, and we can see you, and you have focus in full effect, this is your time. But we can't do it until I say, hit it, Lola. Happy birthday! And we got a lot of birthdays today, and so let me jump right on in and get the party started, as they like to say. Jessica Carradine celebrating today. Chip Reno, another Chip, having a birthday today. Eddie Hollins Sr. is celebrating today. Memphis Tigers basketball coach Penny Anthony Hardaway is celebrating his birthday today. So happy birthday, Coach Penny. Callie Hurd, happy birthday to you. Delois Gatewright, happy birthday. Patricia Smith Irby celebrating today. Cousin Kizzy, happy birthday to you. Ron Sisson, Marvin Gray, Crystal Brown, Nyla Jones, Bonnie Rice Weaver, Jennifer Llewellyn, Callie Hurd, and I think they call her the hometown girl, Christy Lane. She's celebrating her birthday today as well. So We congratulate you if you had a birthday over the weekend. Congratulations, happy belated birthday. If you got one coming up this week, celebrate and party like it's whatever year it is. We hope to be back here next year to celebrate another trip around the sun for you. Thank you, Lola. Okay, so we got a couple of interesting stories, very interesting stories, as a matter of fact, at the outset of the show to talk about. And one of them has to do with something I think we all heard about over the weekend. This was apparently early Sunday morning. Yo Gotti had his birthday celebration at the FedEx Forum on Saturday evening. And sometime around 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, the Memphis Police Department received a call from a man who said that he was having some serious emotional issues because he broke up with his girlfriend, and that he was planning to shoot anybody and everybody he saw coming out of that concert, just like he saw on TV. This is extraordinarily disturbing. And I mean, on his face, you can tell this sounds like somebody who has some issues. So anyway, the police department was dispatched to the residence. The man was there. His ex-girlfriend that he just broke up with was there as well. And when they walked in and they started looking around, they saw weapons, kind of right out there in plain sight. They actually found magnifying scopes, a suppressor. They had a rifle with 30 rounds of ammunition in it. And again, he told the police, they said, what's all this about? He said, well, I wanted to shoot people, as many people as I could, as I've seen on TV. Now, he lives in an apartment complex that is across from the FedEx Forum. But as I saw earlier today, his location he's high up, but you can't really see a lot from his destination or from his apartment complex. But when they arrested him that night, they charged him with terrorism, and they were going to give him some mental help or whatever, and they released him. Well, once they went back to the house with a search warrant and found all this ammunition and all this stuff, this got serious then, and he said that he was going to take action because he was so upset and distraught. He wanted to upset and cause misery to other people. Now, I don't know how legitimate that is, but I do know that he was put back in jail, and he has been charged now with 30 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 30 counts of possession of a firearm. Now, again, when a man calls the police department, not to say that he's threatening someone, but he's saying, look, I need help. I'm having some emotional issues here over this breakup. So we'll see how that shakes out. But very, very disturbing. Yo Gotti put out a statement yesterday saying that, he was very thankful that the police department took action and that there was no harm to any of the folks that went to his birthday party concert at the FedEx Forum. All right, so it's election day. It's not election day. The early voting has started, and it started on the 15th, a couple of days ago, and it will go to the 30th. I went and voted this afternoon, and I will tell you this, the ballot is long, and I think you've heard it before, but the ballot is long. But, if you want change and if you want to be a part of, maybe creating change, you got to vote. You got to get out and vote. So don't complain and whine and moan about what the politicians are doing. Go out and change, change effects, and votes can make a change. They really can. So you have to the 30th for the early voting. The primary voting day is on August the 4th, okay? All right. The heat is a very constant and dangerous issue. It was the top story on every national newscast tonight. 40 million people from coast to coast are dealing with some kind of heat-related issue, be it an advisory or a watch or a heat warning. They're breaking records all over the place. I think they said in Dallas today it was 111 degrees. Tomorrow in Little Rock it should be 106. This is the coolest day of the week here in Memphis, Tennessee, and we've already broken records, and it is really, the way this is setting up, this could be the hottest summer on record here in Memphis, Tennessee, and a whole lot of places across the country. So tomorrow will be about 99, the heat index will be about a 110, and then on Wednesday through Sunday, triple digits every single day. 100, 101, 102, 103. This goes all the way through the weekend, by the way. Heat is no joke, and it can affect you in ways that you never thought it could and in a very short period of time. So really we need to pay attention to our elderly and a lot of folks, who don't have, maybe air conditioning or things. Check on folks. Make sure everybody's okay, because this heat is deadly and it's dangerous. In another bit of news that happened last week, after a couple of days after our show, MSCS Superintendent Joyce Ray was suspended with pay by the school board by a vote of 7-2. The investigation started immediately. He was basically suspended as of that night at the school board meeting, and it is an investigation as to whether or not he may have violated any issues that is currently underway. Ed Stanton III is handling the investigation, so we will see how it happens. The school board doesn't know. They don't know. Nobody knows how long the investigation is going to be, but it is hoped that it would end before school starts, which is another, 2 weeks, give or take? Yeah, so pretty quick turnaround in terms of that. The car tag situation, we started talking about that a little bit last week. It's been a mess. Everybody knows it's a mess. Thousands of people, including yours truly, are waiting for their car tags. And there was actually a no confidence vote against Wanda Halbert was scheduled by the county commission earlier today. A no confidence vote is a very, very serious thing and might have opened the door to the state to come in and take over this process temporarily until they could get back things the way they're supposed to be. Well, this afternoon, when they got to meeting, they decided to put a halt on the no confidence vote until August the 8th, which is their next scheduled meeting. I think they did that obviously because they wanted to give the county clerk's office a chance to try to catch up on some things and see what the progress is going to be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I think this was a big time wake up call. So we will find out more about all of this and we will see where we are. And hopefully by that time, I can tell you, I actually got my car tag renewal in the mail. So we will see how that all plays out. One final note here. St. Jude, which is our crown jewel hospital dedicated to the treatment of cancer for young folks, recently announced another expansion call for an additional $1.4 billion in a 6-year operational and capital budget. This brings the total to $12.9 billion and includes raising the number of new jobs from 1,400 to 2,300. So if you're looking for a job, St. Jude is posting them every 5 minutes, okay? So you can go to the website and see, and maybe you can join that happy family over there. A lot of this is going to increase the funds for construction of new buildings, renovation of current buildings, and capital projects from $1.9 billion to over $2 billion. Well, kudos to St. Jude for all they do each and every day. All right, good with the news and notes. We are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we are going to talk to State Senator Raumesh Akbari about the Crown Act and a few more things. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm your host, Chip Washington. We will be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
The next round of our collaboration beers with Crosstown Brewing Company is ready. Take a walk down the tart end of the street, where soul music meets a fruity and flavorful sour beer with notes of pineapple, peach, and apricot. You can find the beer at grocery stores and other local Crosstown Brewing Company retailers. A portion of the proceeds goes towards helping WYXR and supporting community radio in Memphis. Visit crosstownbeer.com for more information.
The University of Memphis is proud to be a founding partner of WYXR. They are hiring technicians, electricians, plumbers, custodians, and HVAC mechanics. The job fair is in the ballroom on the U of M campus on July 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Free parking is available in the Zach Curlin Garage. For more information, call the HR department at 901-678-3573. That's 901-678-3573. For more than 60 years, Orion has been a trusted financial partner in our community. You can find out all the ways they redefine banking at orionfcu.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this beautiful Monday evening. Chip here with you, and very happy to have you along for the ride. And you know, I was when I was doing a little bit of homework trying to prepare for this show, I'm always looking for interesting stories and interesting people to talk to. And I ran across, July 1st, a lot of the legislation that was passed, turned into some new laws. And one of the new laws that was passed is something called the Crown Act. And of course, I had never heard of it, but my first guest was very passionate about it, and she actually sponsored the bill. Please welcome to Real Talk Memphis, State Senator Raumesh Akbari. And Raumesh, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Of course, Chip. Excited to have some real talk.
Yes, you got that right. So, listen. What I'm really surprised about, and before we get too deep into it, the Crown Act is a pretty significant, bill from your perspective, because I know your family, is steeped in, in the history in hair business here in Memphis and Shelby County. But for those who don't know, please explain what the Crown Act is.
For sure. So the Crown Act is a piece of legislation. It's now been passed in 17 states. But essentially what it does is it creates protection so that men will not have to lose their jobs based on their hairstyles, the hair that grows out of their own head. And it specifically is focused on the African-American community. Sure. Because there's been a big stigma of saying that natural hairstyles are unprofessional, or it's something that you shouldn't wear in the workplace. Yeah, that to me is very interesting in and of itself, because I have seen stories, whether it be newscasters, and I used to be in television news, and folks who have really raised that issue, and some folks have lost their jobs, in various positions, across the country, depending on where they are and what they do, because of the style of hair that they wear. Is that a fact? Yeah, that's completely true. I had a constituent reach out to me. She wanted to go to mortuary school, and the school said that she was not allowed to wear braids, which is completely ridiculous. Oh, my. Right. And when I was in law school, I was told you should straighten your hair. You should wear it straight so that you look more professional. Mm-hmm. And then once you get hired, you can wear your hair curly again, which is just, no one should have to make those type of changes just to have a job. Yeah, that's an extremely good point. And I have to say, now you've been in the State House since, 2018? I've been in the State Senate since 2018. Senate. I was in the House from 13 to 18. Okay. So it's about 8 years now. About 8 years, absolutely that. So I guess based on the logistical demographics, should I say, of the House in Nashville, how in the world did you even get this thing passed? Because, I would imagine there are very few Democrats in the Senate. How'd you get this passed? Well, it was definitely a heavy lift. I first had to explain to my colleagues what a protective style was, because they kept thinking it was a protected class. I was like, no, let's explain that. And just a lot of give and take. Initially, the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce came out against the bill. Yeah. But, I called my good friend Beverly Robertson, and I said, do you know what they're doing? And so she explained it to them. And, after that, we just kept working the committee members. But it was certainly a cultural lesson, and then we could get it through. The Senate was a lot easier than the House, though. It only passed in the House by one vote. In the Senate, it was unanimous.
One vote is all you need to get things done. Well, I'm very impressed by that. I have to say there's some strength there for you to get that passed. But I want to talk about, this has been an interesting session. The session ended not too long ago that you all had this year. A lot of controversy about a lot of issues, and I wanted to kind of get your feedback on a couple of them. But the most recent thing had to do with this school voucher that almost immediately taking place now. I mean, it's actually, it was signed and the governor's like, well, yeah, we're going to do it starting like now, this school year, which for people who don't know, the school voucher is basically taking public money and funding private education in reference to it. I think I got that right. What is your take on that, and how do you feel about it?
Well, it sounds like a good idea on paper, right? If you want to send your child to a private school, you should be able to take your taxpayer dollars to that school.
Right.
But a lot of these schools are not, that's not going to cover all of the tuition. 2, they're not just going to allow the students to attend. They have to pass an admissions test. 3, it doesn't include costs for books, extra fees, transportation, and it creates a hole in our traditional public schools. And lastly, in other states, it hasn't worked. It'd be different if it worked, if the student achievement went up. But we found that there are a lot of not just cultural issues, but real barriers for the kids to even get to those schools.
Is it discriminatory in your mind? Because to me, I don't know. I'm looking at it because it's only in Davidson County and Shelby County. And what's that about?
Yeah, so because no other school system, no teachers, none of the folks from across the state wanted it. And so the legislators who voted for it said, well, as long as it doesn't come to my county, I'll vote for it. And with this court decision, there's a thing called home rule where, you cannot create these laws that only apply to one particular county. That's actually unconstitutional. And then home rule for the larger counties like Memphis and Shelby County.
Right.
Well, the state Supreme Court basically said, oh, that's irrelevant. Which is, that's a major step in the wrong direction. It's actually kind of terrifying to see what other future legislation we may have.
If you are just joining us, we are having a very interesting conversation with State Senator Raumesh Akbari. And, having said that, there were several laws or, pieces of legislation that were brought up in this session, this past session. And I'm sure that there were some of them that you weren't too happy about. What bothered you the most, or what troubled you the most about the session in terms of some of the legislation that was passed this year?
Ooh, where do I start? I think kind of the continuation of this anti-CRT discussion.
Explain that.
Yes. So there was a bill that passed in each General Assembly. It's 2 years. So the first year of the General Assembly, there was a piece of legislation that was passed saying that you cannot teach critical race theory in elementary, middle, and high school, which was not being taught anyway. It's only taught in a law school level. But the way the legislation was written, there's significant concern that it could have a stifling effect on the teaching of Black history and those types of subjects in our school systems. So that was not a good one. Of course, a lot of these anti-choice pieces of legislation were very difficult. Tennessee is one of those trigger states where we know when Roe v. Wade was overturned, that triggers a bill in Tennessee to automatically, stop choice.
Right.
So it's a bevy of bad legislation.
How do you think the governor and the legislature, because one of the biggest issues that was very contentious was how to handle COVID. And, in terms, exactly. I see your face. And I still don't understand it. I worked for the health department for 2.5 years on COVID, and you could see the effects. And that's another one that it was very hard to understand. What's your take about that?
They called us in for a special session.
Yes.
Where you think that there would be more things done to protect people in the heat and height of the Delta variant. And instead, there was a move to try and ban private businesses from requiring masks, making it very difficult for businesses to require employees to wear masks unless there's some sort of federal exception. Not wear masks, to get a vaccine.
Right.
Unless there's some sort of exception. It was a step in the complete wrong direction. And it honestly made me think, what am I doing in this legislature? I am surrounded by people who don't believe in science.
Yeah.
You have hundreds of thousands of people who have died from this, and certainly thousands across the state of Tennessee. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous what they were proposing, and some of it passed.
Yeah, it did. And, I know that they were waiting for, COVID is an ebb and tide thing. And I think now that nobody's really focused on it at all. I did see, however, today that numbers across this country are starting to rise once again, and hospitalizations are starting to rise as well as deaths. Now, those last two are the real key triggers to all of this. And, we're in the midst of summer. Folks are just kind of all over the country, all over the place. Nobody's taking any precautions, with very few exceptions. And, we could see another resurgence of all of this maybe coming later in the fall. What's your thought about that?
Well, the legislation that was passed made it impossible for our local counties and our health departments to be able to regulate themselves, particularly the big four that are not directly regulated by the Tennessee Department of Health.
Right.
So it's impossible. And even if you do have the high amount of numbers that are required, which we reached at during Delta, the governor still has to sign off on a mask mandate. So I think that we have set ourselves up for failure, and it's putting politics over sound health policy.
Yeah, politics over people, no doubt about it. I mean, this is, like you said very eloquently, this has killed thousands. I mean, 1 million people in this country in the last, 2 years plus, but thousands upon thousands of Tennesseans, our folks as well. We have a big election coming up here. We are in the midst of it now. Early voting has started. Locally. Is there a primary for the governor's race now and then in November? Did I get that right, or is there?
Yeah, that's correct. The general's in November.
Okay, so and it looks. I mean, obviously, the sitting governor has an extraordinarily high war chest, and I don't know that there's going to be too much hope for the Democrats, in this race. But when all of this is said and done, and you all reconvene at the beginning of next year. What's on your mind? What are some of the things that you want to see tackled and really addressed, in the next session?
Well, I want us to think about crime in a much smarter way. We passed this right on crime legislation, which costs additional funds and does not actually lead to a decrease in crime. Mm-hmm. So I want us to look at that, public safety. I want to look at school discipline. A lot of the issues that we see down the pipeline starts in our schools and how we approach disciplining children. Certainly want to address literacy. That's a big one.
Yes.
It's just too big to ignore. And then, of course, I will be working on my normal slate of criminal justice reform bills, economic development, ways that we can kind of give people the tools they need to get back to work. And then, of course, looking at supporting our HBCUs.
One final thing in all of this, and it really, it chafed me when I first heard it, and it still bothers me today. And you mentioned it, crime and violence is out of control. It just is. And, our legislature decided that, you could be 21 years old and you could carry a weapon, not concealed, no background checks, no nothing. I mean, basically. And we wonder why, lawlessness is at the current level that it is. How troubling is this for you?
Exceptionally. I mean, there's this complaint about crime, but there's no move to hold gun owners accountable.
Right.
We have had a significant increase in guns that are stolen from cars. Yeah. Mark White and I have been working with MPD for the past 5 years trying to address this, to have some teeth in the punishment if you leave a gun unsecured in your vehicle and it's stolen.
Yeah.
And our district attorney has been against it, saying, I want to make sure that we don't punish the gun owner, we punish the thief. No, you have to be a responsible gun owner.
Sure.
You leave your car unlocked with a gun in the dashboard that's not locked. What do you expect? So we have to have some smart gun laws. We're not talking about taking people's weapons away. We're just saying it's a privilege.
Absolutely that. Listen, I have really enjoyed this conversation. It's the first time I've had you on the show, and I hope it's not the last. But I really appreciate you taking time to sit down with us for a few minutes. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck. You know what? And before you go, I just want you to know, and I'm telling everybody this right now, she's getting a lot of national attention. So, I won't be surprised if you get plucked up out of here for something a whole lot bigger. But State Senator Raumesh Akbari, thank you so much for coming on Real Talk tonight.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Yeah, that was a great conversation. And, she brought up a lot of good points, and there's a lot of needs in our state. And hopefully, with her, up there and behind the wheel, she can help to address some of those issues. We are going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about your pets because, no, we're not going to talk about your pets. Not yet. We're going to talk about water safety. That's what we're going to talk about. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'll get it together by the time the break is over. I'm Chip. You know who you are. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's the return of the Lucero Family Block Party on Saturday, September 10th, featuring performances by Tim Berry, Jason Boland and the Stragglers, American Aquarium, and Lucero starting at 2 p.m. outside of Minglewood Hall. Tickets available at minglewoodhallmemphis.com.
This is Will Goodwin, co-founder at Crosstown Brewing Company. Just like WYXR, Crosstown Brewing supports Memphis music and our neighbors who use their talents to make it. Our beers can be found at our 3,000 square foot tap room right here at the Crosstown Concourse and at your favorite bars, restaurants, and stores throughout Tennessee, Mississippi, and eastern Arkansas. Enjoy.
The Brooks is open in Overton Park. Home to Memphis art collection since 1916, the Memphis Brooks Museum of Art holds the largest collection of world art in the region, with more than 10,000 works spanning 5,000 years of art and cultures. Remember, every Wednesday is free and open until 8 p.m. They are a proud sponsor of WYXR. For more information about the museum and their exhibitions, visit brooksmuseum.org. You belong at the Brooks.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to the big broadcast on this Monday evening. Your humble host, Chip Washington, with you. Very happy to have you along for the ride. And you were talking earlier, this heat is oppressive. That's just it. It really is. So it makes us, look for options. If it's not an icy or a slush or shaved ice or whatever. How about a dip in the pool, right? We do whatever we can. Go to water parks, go to lakes, go to creeks, go to the swimming pools. But one big thing about all of that is you need to be prepared for that. And every year, unfortunately, we see incidents of drowning, people jumping in pools and really aren't prepared to do so, or, getting caught in undertows and things like that. So I thought it would be beneficial to all of us to have an expert to talk about water safety. So I'm very pleased to have the aquatics manager from the Bartlett Recreation Center, Scott O'Reilly, joining me. And Scott, thanks for coming on Real Talk. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having me, Chip. I appreciate it.
So, we talked a little bit offline about all of this, and you have one of the best facilities that I have ever seen. As a rec center, that pool, is absolutely amazing. So, as the aquatics manager, you're responsible for quite a bit in terms of training and teaching and coaching. Talk a little bit about what exactly that role encompasses that you have over there.
Sure thing. I mean, we, like you said, I appreciate the kind words about the facility. There's a lot of programs that we run out of the facility. We like to think we offer something for every age. I mean, we offer group lessons for parent and infant courses, just getting the kids acclimated to the water. We offer private swim lessons. We offer swim teams. We offer water aerobics, which a lot of our senior citizens take part in, and just regular lap swimming. And then outside we have a splash pad that's a few years old, and the kids really love that. And like you said, in the summer it's certainly utilized quite a bit.
So, and talking about that, you mentioned it, you touched on it a little bit in terms of age. And I want to talk about how young is too young, or how young should the parents consider for their child to take swimming lessons? Because, I mean, this is a very critical, thing and to be able to do and to have.
Sure. We offer parent-child classes for kids that are not even a year old. And I think it's not like you're going to learn how to swim when you're that age.
Sure.
But I think the biggest thing that you're going to try to teach a child that age is just to be comfortable in the water, and to realize that it's not something to be scared of. And while you should always respect the water, if you don't have the skills to be in there, it makes it a lot easier to teach those kids who have an early exposure. It makes it easier to teach those kids later on as they get a little bit older and they're ready to learn the proper skills to be self-sufficient in the water.
So parent-child, lessons, I mean, you're talking about baby. You said 6 months old? Is that what you said?
Definitely, yeah. 6 to 12 months old in that earliest class.
So, as I said earlier, we see, unfortunately, incidents, every year, drowning, in not just swimming pools. I mean, we hear about that, kids, being, not watched, or, unaccompanied, by someone who knows what they're doing, but also, at lakes and, and docks and things like that. What kind of advice would you have for folks who are, going to spend, a few days, at a place that has either a big pool, or more to what I want to get to is the lakes and the rivers and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of touched on two of the things. We have a safety day as one of our classes. We in our group lessons, and I think two of the biggest topics that we bring up are, number one, if you're going swimming, never go alone. Always be accompanied.
Yes.
Regardless of your swimming ability level, never swim alone. Regardless of your age, always go with somebody else. And there's just strength in numbers there. And then to touch on, kind of the open water, the lake swimming, probably the biggest point that we try to get across to the kids is know what you're jumping into, because with those lakes, it's not like a pool, and you're not going to be able to see very clearly a lot of times, and you may think it's an open body of water, but then just under the surface may be something that can really hurt you if you jump into it and you can't really see what you're jumping into.
These are excellent points that you're making. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Aquatics Manager Scott O'Reilly of the Bartlett Recreation Center, and these safety days that you talk about, giving people instruction and giving people, just making them aware of certain instances. And I can remember back, when I was young and I wasn't real adept at the swimming aspect of things, but when we went to the beach, how folks kind of wade out there a little bit, they get out in the water, and they start playing around and the waves come and crash. There's an undertow that goes along with that a lot of people don't even think about, that could be extraordinarily dangerous. Can you touch on that just a little bit?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of a natural element of waves as they come into the shore. Mm-hmm. Of course, everybody sees the motion on top of the waves, which is coming into the shore. But what you don't see is kind of the counter element to that. And that's when the waves go back out, and this usually happens underneath the surface, which is why it's called an undertow.
Right.
And in a very short amount of time, you have a lot of power that's potentially pulling you under and then out to sea, where you might feel significantly less safe. And unfortunately, the human instinct is to fight against that. But usually what we tell people is to not fight against it, because essentially the ocean is going to win. There's a lot more power that it's going to generate on you than you're going to generate against it. So, obviously we don't want anybody to be caught in that situation, but if they are, you want to kind of relax initially, and then when you do come up and you're in a place where you can call for help, then that's what you need to be doing instead of struggling with whatever energy you might have.
One final thing I want you to address, and that is you mentioned these water parks, and you know I've been to several of them. You know, the big splash pools that they have, and there's just so much going on everywhere. I mean, there are kids everywhere, there are adults everywhere, there are people. And I was at one some years back where a child, you know, wound up under the water. You know, there's lifeguards there, but I mean, honestly, you can't keep your eyes on everybody. But I mean, but I mean, that is to me, that's kind of a scary proposition too. I mean, because, and it goes to what you said earlier about don't get in alone. I mean, have somebody with you. You know, so I mean, again, I want you to emphasize how important that is, because that to me really is one of the big keys.
You know, when I remember those days too.
Yeah.
When there used to be Adventure River Water Park here locally a long time ago, and but you know, there's a ton of signage up at parks like this. And there's rules there for a reason. And yes, you may think because there's a lifeguard on duty, or certainly kids may think because they're a lifeguard on duty, that they can go and do whatever they want. And it should be a fun time, but you got to have rules in places like that, because there's still drowning risks. There's still a lot of different hazards around places like that. And they don't make these things that are going to be risk-free. So as long as you follow the rules, you can still have a lot of fun, but it's just about, knowing what your limits are and paying attention to what the lifeguards and what the authorities and what the rules have to say to you.
Because they know more about it than you do. That's for doggone sure.
Certainly.
Scott O'Reilly, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I learned a lot just listening to you talk, and I hope that it was beneficial to the listening audience. Scott Riley, the aquatics manager, Bartlett Recreation Center. Thanks for coming on Real Talk, man, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you for having me, Chip.
Appreciate it. That was a very information-filled conversation, and if you happen to miss it, you know, we're a podcast, so you can always catch it tomorrow. And you know, once it's posted, or because this is some good stuff. This is some good information. This is some good conversation and stuff that you need to know and pay attention to. Because, you know, we're talking about your young people here, and we don't want you to be in a tragic situation in terms of that. Stay safe. Keep yourself safe and stay safe, you know, at all times. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll be shifting gears and talking about your pets. Because just like humans, you know, we get hot and we get overstressed. Your dogs get hot and overstressed too, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and how you can care for them during this extraordinary heat. This is Real Talk Memphis. I am Chip. You know who you are. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest? Or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page, and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from Tamburino. Tamburino's staff of IT specialists help businesses with strategic technology planning and support. Tamburino, the rhythm of productivity. Details at tamburino.com. The Orpheum Broadway season presents Lerner and Lowe's My Fair Lady, July 26th through the 31st. From Lincoln Center Theater comes a new revival of the musical, boasting songs as I Could Have Danced All Night, The Rain in Spain, Wouldn't It Be Lovely, and On the Street Where You Live. For more information, visit orpheum-memphis.com.
Mempho Music Festival returns to Radiance Amphitheater at Memphis Botanic Garden on September 30th through October 2nd. This year's fest features the excitement of the Black Keys, Widespread Panic, Wilco, Jason Isbell, Portugal the Man, Tank and the Bangers, Bobby Rush, and many more. Visit memphofest.com for ticket packages, lineup information, FAQs, and more. That's memphofest.com.
Memphis Listening Lab proudly supports WYXR. They provide a curated collection of music and music history, a forum for music-related talks and performances, and a music education, appreciation, and experimentation space located in Crosstown Concourse. The lab is open Tuesday through Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can find out more information on their Instagram page at Memphis Listening Lab or on their website at memphislisteninglab.org.
This is Stephen Tate, head brewer at Crosstown Brewing Company. It's my pleasure to design and give life to the tasty beers our customers love so much. Crosstown Concourse is a unique environment, and the programming at WYXR reflects the very same independent spirit and ethos that makes our beer special. Cheers to Memphis and great community radio. Enjoy!
If you weren't so impatient.
Orion believes communities work best when they work together. They have been a trusted financial partner in our community for more than 60 years and are committed to giving back in the neighborhoods they serve. You can see how they're redefining banking at orionfcu.com.
2 days of music featuring brews, blues, and bluegrass. Grind City Fest comes to Memphis Friday, August 26th and Saturday, August 27th. Performers include the infamous String Dusters, Here Come the Mummies, Sasquatch, The Wild Feathers, and more. It's all going down right along the Wolf River at Grind City Brewing. For tickets and other information, visit grindcitybrew.com.
The next round of our collaboration beers with Crosstown Brewing Company is ready. Take a walk down the tart end of the street, where soul music meets a fruity and flavorful sour beer with notes of pineapple, peach, and apricot. You can find the beer at grocery stores and other local Crosstown Brewing Company retailers. A portion of the proceeds goes towards helping WYXR and supporting community radio in Memphis. Visit crosstownbeer.com for more information.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And we welcome you back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday. We had a really good show up to this point. We had two really good guests to talk about a lot of good things. Now, I did tease before the break that we were supposed to have someone to talk about your pets and pet safety during this very, very, very hot summer that we are all experiencing. I have not seen him yet, checking in with us. So maybe if somebody's out there who knows Dr. Charlie, they can, tell him, hey, you're supposed to be on the radio with Chip right about now. But he is the veterinarian and doctor of the family veterinary practice in Bartlett, and he takes care of our dog. And I was going to tell him our dog, his name is Moses. Moses says hello because they take good care of him. And but he has not checked in. So we're gonna try to see. We still have a few minutes left in the broadcast to see if he will. But I can tell you what I know a little bit about all of this, and some of it came from talking to him and a lot of other people. Your pets, particularly not just dogs, but cats and any other pet that you take outside, this is the kind of heat that is really dangerous. If it's dangerous for you, as a grown-up, just think about what it does to your pets and your animals. My dog, I let him outside for a few minutes, and he'll sit there. He may wander around the back a little bit, but then he'll lay down, and he's huffing and puffing and panting. After a few minutes because it's so hot outside, he's just ready to come back in. Well, if the temperatures are going to be as bad as they are forecasted to be, and I tend to believe that. Heat indices, real temp is triple digits. Heat indices will be anywhere from 110 to 115 degrees. That's what it feels like to your skin. Think about your pets. You want to take them out for a walk. It's 100 plus degrees outside. The ground temperature is at least 15 to 20 degrees hotter than the air temperature is. So, they don't have a chance, really. So if you're going to do that, I would imagine that the best time to take your pets out to get them a little exercise would be early in the morning, when the sun is coming up, or, the earlier part of the day. But by 10 o'clock, these days it's 90 degrees plus already. So you take them out earlier than that if you can. I was also told that a certain breeds like pugs and bulldogs and things who have those faces that are kind of, pressed in, it affects them a lot too, their snout, because it's closer to the ground, and it can really affect them, and they can even die from that. I was, when I heard that, I was very fascinated by that, to be honest with you, because that's not the kind of thing you really think about. But we live in an area where there are a lot of pet owners and a lot of folks out there walking the dog. So if you can't do it, like I said, if you can't do it, as during the early part of the day, you may want to try to do it when the sun goes down, but that ground is still going to be at least 100 degrees. I mean, even when it gets dark, the temperature is 90 plus in some areas. So you have to really be mindful. I'm disappointed that Dr. Charlie couldn't come on the show. I'll reach out to him tomorrow and see if we can't get him back next week, because this is what he does, on a regular daily basis. And before we, so we'll get off of that. And before we go, I've got a couple of minutes here. I want to say thank you to those of you who are supporting this show. I didn't even tell the crew this, but last week's Facebook Live, if you catch us on Facebook Live, we had the highest number that we have ever had in terms of total number of people who watched the broadcast at some point between last Monday and today. I mean, it was pretty high. And I was pretty elated about that, which means that maybe we're catching on a little bit out there. Maybe you folks are starting to pay a little bit more attention to what we do, because I said it before and I'll say it again. I think we have a pretty good product here, and I want to be the best talk show on air. But we can't do that without your help and your support and your encouragement. And I appreciate you taking this little time. If you check us out on the radio, or you check us out on Facebook Live, or you check us out on the podcast, all of it works. You can watch us, on YouTube and Facebook Live, but you can hear us on every podcast platform in this country. And, also, on the station, they archive it and they keep it in the archives, for several weeks. So if you have not had the Real Talk Memphis experience, I strongly urge you to give us a shot. And, let us know what you think. And by the way, if you have an interesting topic or subject or a guest that you think would be an asset to this broadcast, all you have to do is hit me a note, leave me a message on Messenger or however you do it. And before I get out of here, I want to say hello to some of the folks that are on Facebook Live right now. Rachel Johnson is checking us out, as is Bridget Sneed Bell. Thank you for that. Tess Graham is watching, and Vernon O'Neill as well. So we're going to get out of here a little early tonight. I'm going to have Lola play us out. But once again, thank you so much for making Real Talk Memphis a part of what you do on Monday evenings. And again, please go out and tell somebody about the show, all right? Because we work hard to try to provide a good product for you each and every Monday, full of information. And, we hope that you enjoy it. And, as I said before, this show is just a show without the contributions of you being a part of it. So I really value that. And, it means more to me than you'll ever know. So for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, Lola, Marvin, and Nicole, I'm Chip. And in the meantime, in between time, please, please, please take this heat seriously, because, I don't want anything bad to happen to any of us out here. So until next time, I'm Chip, and I'm out. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Monday.